What if your breakfast could hack your brain's development? Imagine a smoothie bowl holding the secret to understanding one of psychology's most foundational theories, Jean Piaget's concept of conservation. No textbooks, no lectures. Just frozen bananas, almond milk, and a blender. Sounds absurd, right? Yet Piaget's genius lies in how we grasp that quantity stays the same even when shape or container changes. A 4-year-old might swear pouring juice into a taller glass creates more liquid. By 7, most kids realize it's the same amount. It just looks different. That's conservation of volume, and today we're proving it with breakfast. Here's the twist. Blend those ingredients into a uniform mix and suddenly the math becomes invisible. The banana didn't vanish, it's just hiding in the swirl. Add granola, kiwi slices, chia seeds, and the layers of complexity grow. This isn't just a snack, it's a kitchen experiment in cognitive development. By the end, you'll taste how Piaget's insight shapes the way we think, about numbers, relationships, and even the world itself. Ready to crack open a theory that's been hiding in plain sight? The answer isn't in a lab coat or a lecture hall, it's in your bowl. Let's blend, pour, and discover why Piaget's greatest lesson might just be the most delicious one yet. Welcome to Cognitive Kitchen, where psychology meets the plate. If you've ever wondered how a blender could double as a brain training tool, or why a child might think pouring milk into a new cup magically changes its amount, you're in the right place. Today we're tackling conservation, one of Jean Piaget's most fascinating insights into how humans learn to see beyond appearances. And we're doing it with something delicious, a smoothie bowl layered with granola, fruit, and a heaping scoop of cognitive science. Let's get real. Piaget's theories can feel like abstract puzzles. But what if I told you that the same mental leap kids make around age 7, realizing that quantity stays the same even when shape changes, is hiding in your breakfast bowl? Imagine blending frozen bananas, berries, and almond milk into a silky swirl. To a toddler, that liquid might seem like it multiplied or vanished. But you? You know the math hasn't changed. It's just wearing a new texture. That's conservation of volume, and it's the backbone of logical thinking. Here's the kicker. This isn't just about kids acing science tests. Conservation is how we navigate a world full of illusions. It's why we trust that a dollar bill remains valuable whether it's crisp or crumpled, or that love doesn't shrink when life reshapes it. By cooking this smoothie bowl, you'll see how our brains learn to trust constancy in chaos, and maybe even reflect on how you've mastered similar mental leaps in your own life. So, grab your blender. We're not just making breakfast. We're unpacking a universal truth, one pour, one scoop, one aha at a time. Ready to blend cognition with creativity? Let's dive in. Picture this. A 4-year-old watches as their juice is poured into a taller glass. To them, it's not just a change in shape, it's a change in amount. Suddenly, there's more juice. This is conservation in action, or rather, in confusion. Jean Piaget, the Swiss psychologist, discovered that children around this age struggle to grasp that quantity remains constant, even when appearance changes. By 7, most kids realize the glass shape is a trick. The liquid itself hasn't multiplied. That leap in understanding? Conservation of volume. It's one of Piaget's most elegant insights into how our minds learn to see beyond what's right in front of us. But why does this matter? Conservation isn't just about juice boxes. It's a cornerstone of logical thinking, a mental muscle that lets us recognize constancy in a world full of transformations. Imagine kneading dough. A toddler might think flattening it into a pancake destroys the ball shape forever. But you know the truth, it's still the same lump of dough, just reshaped. That ability to mentally reverse actions, conservation unlocks it. Without this skill, math, science, even social empathy would crumble. How could you trust that a friend's love stays the same after a fight if you couldn't grasp that? Essence outlasts appearance. Here's the catch. Conservation feels obvious once you've mastered it, but try explaining it to a child who's still locked in the "what you see is what you get" phase. Piaget's experiments reveal how deeply our brains cling to surface-level truths. Show a kid 2 identical balls of clay, then flatten one into a pancake. Ask which has more and they'll point to the pancake. To them, size equals quantity. Only later does the brain develop the aha that mass hasn't changed. It's just wearing a new costume. This isn't just about kids acing puzzles. It's about how humans build trust in invisible truths. Think about melting ice. A child might swear the water vanished. You know it's still there, just shifted form. Conservation teaches us that reality isn't governed by illusions. And today we're proving it with breakfast. Because when you blend frozen bananas, berries, and almond milk into a smoothie bowl, you're not just making food, you're creating a kitchen-sized metaphor for how our minds learn to see the unchanging beneath the ever-changing, ready to crack the code. Let's cook. Here's the twist. This isn't just a smoothie bowl, it's a kitchen-sized metaphor for conservation of volume. Let's break it down. You start with frozen bananas, berries, almond milk, and yogurt. Measure them precisely. 2 cups banana, 1 cup berries, 1 2-cup milk. Toss them into a blender. The volume, 3.5 cups total. Now hit blend. Suddenly the chunks vanish into a silky swirl. To a child still mastering conservation, this might feel like magic. Did the blender create more liquid? Did the banana disappear? Nope. It's all still there, just reshaped. That's Piaget's point. Conservation isn't about trusting your eyes. It's about understanding that quantity remains constant even when form changes. Add granola, kiwi slices, and chia seeds on top, and the layers multiply, but the base stays 3.5 cups. Think of it like parenting. A toddler might panic when you pour milk into a new cup, convinced the amount changed. You know better. The toppings? They're like life's variables, new textures, new flavors, but the foundation, unshaken. This recipe works because every step mirrors the concept. Measuring ingredients teaches constancy. Blending hides the math in plain sight. Toppings layer complexity without altering the core truth. By the time you dig in, you'll have tasted how conservation shapes not just breakfast, but how we learn to trust the unchanging beneath the ever-changing. Ready to blend? Let's get cooking and thinking. Grab your blender and toss in 2 cups of frozen banana chunks, 1 cup of mixed berries, and 1 2-cup of almond milk. Pause for a second. Take a mental note. 3.5 cups total. This isn't just a recipe, it's a math lesson in disguise. Now blend it all until smooth. Watch as those distinct ingredients vanish into a uniform swirl. To a child still wrestling with Piaget's conservation concept, this might look like magic. Did the blender create more liquid? Did the banana disappear? Nope. It's all still there, just reshaped. Here's the science. Conservation of volume isn't about trusting your eyes. It's about recognizing that quantity remains constant even when form changes. Pour that blended smoothie into a bowl and the illusion deepens. The same 3.5 cups now occupy a wider, flatter space. A toddler might swear you've poured a bigger amount, but you know better. The blender didn't invent new matter, it just rearranged what was already there. That's Piaget's insight in action. Our brains learn to see beyond appearances, to reverse engineer transformations mentally. Now, let's layer the toppings. Sprinkle granola for crunch, add kiwi slices for color, dot with chia seeds for texture. Each addition is a new variable, but the base volume stays rooted at 3.5 cups. Think of it like life's complexities. New layers emerge, but core truths hold steady. A child learns this gradually. At age 4, they might panic if you pour their juice into a taller glass, convinced the amount changed. By 7, they'll shrug and say, it's the same, just taller. That's conservation, wiring itself into their brain. As you dig in, notice how the toppings mingle with the base. The granola absorbs moisture, the berries bleed color, the chia seeds gel. Yet the original volume remains unchanged beneath the chaos. This is how Piaget framed cognitive growth, not as a linear path, but as a series of aha moments, where we grasp that reality isn't governed by illusions. The banana didn't vanish. The juice didn't multiply. The world, like this bowl, is full of transformations that hide constancy. So, take a bite. Savor the paradox. A dish that shifts texture, shape, and flavor, but stays mathematically itself. That's conservation. That's Piaget. And that's breakfast. Now comes the moment where Piaget's genius leaps off the counter and into your bowl. Watch closely. You've just poured your blended smoothie into a wide, shallow bowl. Before blending, you had 3.5 cups of ingredients: frozen bananas, berries, almond milk. After blending, the same volume swirls in front of you, but now it's smooth, uniform, and spread out. To a child still grappling with conservation, this might seem like a trick. Did the blender create more liquid? Did the banana multiply? Nope. It's all still there, just reshaped. Here's the magic. This pour is Piaget's experiment in real time. Think of the classic test where a child watches juice transfer from a short glass to a tall one. A 4-year-old might insist the amount changed. By 7, most kids realize. The container's shape is a distraction. The liquid itself didn't grow or shrink. That's exactly what's happening here. The smoothie didn't expand when you poured it into the bowl. Its volume stayed constant, even as its form shifted. But why does this matter? Because conservation isn't just about liquids or smoothies. It's about how our brains learn to trust invariance. Imagine kneading dough. A toddler might think flattening it into a pancake destroys the original ball forever. But you know the truth. The mass hasn't vanished, it's just wearing a new costume. That ability to mentally reverse actions, conservation unlocks it. Without this skill, math, science, even social empathy would crumble. How could you trust that? A friend's love stays the same after a fight. If you couldn't grasp that essence outlasts appearance, let's break it down further. Take 2 bowls, one tall and narrow, one short and wide. Pour your smoothie into the tall one. To a child still mastering conservation, the liquid might seem higher, so they assume it's more. Now pour it into the wide bowl. Suddenly the level drops. Less, they might shout, but you know better. The blender didn't invent new matter, it just rearranged what was already there. That's Piaget's insight in action. Our brains learn to see beyond appearances, to reverse engineer transformations mentally. This isn't just about kids acing puzzles. It's about how humans build trust in invisible truths. Think about melting ice. A child might swear the water vanished. You know it's still there, just shifted form. Conservation teaches us that reality isn't governed by illusions. And here's the kicker. It's not a passive process. Children don't just age into this understanding. They discover it through play, experimentation, and moments like this. Watching a blender turn chunks into a swirl, then realizing the math stays the same beneath the chaos. So, take a spoon and stir. Watch as the smoothie ripples, redistributing itself across the bowl. Each scoop you take doesn't subtract from the whole, it just reshapes it. That's conservation in its purest form, a principle that quantity remains constant, even when form changes. Piaget framed this as a milestone in cognitive development, but it's more than a textbook concept. It's how we navigate a world full of illusions. A dollar bill stays valuable, whether it's crisp or crumpled. Love doesn't shrink when life reshapes it. Even this smoothie bowl layered with granola and fruit holds a lesson. That constancy lies beneath the ever-changing. And here's the final twist. This isn't just about breakfast. It's about how we learn to trust the unchanging in a chaotic world. The banana didn't vanish, the juice didn't multiply. The world, like this bowl, is full of transformations that hide constancy. That's conservation. That's Piaget. And that's the secret ingredient in every bite. Now comes the final act. Transforming your smoothie base into a masterpiece of texture and contrast. Grab a handful of granola and let it rain down in crunchy clusters. Slice a kiwi into crescent moons, dotting the surface like scattered jewels. Sprinkle chia seeds for a subtle crunch, their tiny black pearls sinking slightly into the swirl. Each topping adds a new layer, visual, tactile, flavorful. But here's the kicker. The base volume hasn't changed. It's still 3.5 cups of blended banana, berries, and almond milk, anchoring everything beneath the chaos. This is where conservation gets real. Imagine a toddler watching you layer granola onto the bowl. To them, the addition might feel like a new quantity, as if the smoothie grew bigger. But you know better. The toppings are variables, new textures, new colors, but the foundation remains untouched. Think of it like parenting. A child might panic when you pour milk into a new cup, convinced the amount changed. You understand the truth. The milk didn't vanish, the container did. Similarly, here, the granola doesn't. Inflate the bowl. It just sits on top, a garnish, not a multiplier. As you mix the toppings into the base, notice how the layers blend. The granola absorbs moisture, softening at the edges. The kiwi bleeds faint streaks of green. The chia seeds swell slightly, creating tiny pockets of gel. Yet beneath it all, the original 3.5 cups hold steady. This isn't just about breakfast. It's about how we learn to trust constancy in a world of flux. Conservation teaches us that change isn't always creation or destruction. Sometimes it's just transformation. Take a spoon and dive in. The first bite carries the crunch of granola, the tart pop of berries, the creamy silk of blended banana. Each mouthful is a collision of sensations, yet the math stays the same. That's Piaget's point. Our brains don't just register what's new, they hold on to what's unchanged. The banana didn't disappear, the juice didn't multiply. The world, like this bowl, is full of illusions that hide deeper truths. And now, you've tasted one. So, there you have it. A smoothie bowl. That's more than just breakfast. It's a brain training tool, a lesson in constancy, and a tribute to Jean Piaget's genius. By now you've blended frozen bananas, berries, and almond milk into a swirl that defies appearances. You've poured, layered, and tasted the truth that quantity doesn't vanish just because shape changes. And if that clicked for you, you're not alone. Every child on Earth grapples with this realization, usually around age 7, when their minds finally reverse the illusion of transformation. But here's the kicker. Conservation isn't just a childhood milestone. It's a lens through which we navigate life's complexities. Think of it this way. The smoothie in your bowl didn't multiply when you poured it into a wider container, just like a crumpled dollar bill holds the same value as a crisp one. Love doesn't shrink when life reshapes it. Trust isn't erased by a fight. Even grief, in its jagged, unpredictable waves, remains rooted in the same unshakable truth. You loved, you lost, and the essence of that bond outlasts its physical form. Conservation teaches us to see the constant beneath the chaos, to trust that some truths persist even when they're disguised by change. This isn't just abstract psychology, it's practical magic. Imagine a world where we couldn't grasp that a melted ice cube is still water, or that a folded map doesn't erase the miles it charts. Piaget's work reminds us that our brains aren't passive observers. They're active detectives, piecing together rules of reality through play, experiment, and yes, even cooking. And now, thanks to this bowl, you've lived that detective work. You've felt the aha of seeing science in your spoon, proof that learning sticks best when it's tasted, touched, and experienced. So, take another bite. Let the granola crunch and the banana cream swirl remind you, change isn't always creation or destruction. Sometimes, it's just transformation. What other illusions in your life might hide a deeper constancy? How many times have you mistaken a shift in shape for a shift in substance? Share your thoughts below. Did this smoothie bowl make conservation click? What other kitchen hacks should we use to demystify Piaget's trickiest ideas? The comments are your lab. Let's experiment. Thanks for cooking with cognition. If you've made it this far, you've not only mastered a delicious smoothie bowl, you've cracked open one of psychology's most elegant ideas. Piaget's concept of conservation isn't just about juice in a glass or dough reshaped into a pancake. It's about how we learn to trust the unchanging beneath the ever-changing. And today, you tasted that truth. This journey, from measuring frozen bananas to sprinkling chia seeds, was more than a recipe. It was a kitchen-sized metaphor for how our brains grow. You've seen how transformation isn't always creation or destruction. Just like a blender doesn't invent new matter, it just rearranges what's already there. That's the magic of conservation. It's the lens through which kids and adults learn to navigate a world full of illusions. Now it's your turn to keep the conversation cooking. Did this smoothie bowl make Piaget's insight click? What other kitchen hacks should we tackle next? Drop your thoughts in the comments, whether it's a question, a revelation, or a wild idea for demystifying egocentrism with lasagna layers. Your curiosity fuels this channel, and we're all ears. If you're hungry for more mind-melded meals, smash that like button and hit subscribe. Join us at Cognitive Kitchen as we turn everyday recipes into lessons on human development. Because here, every dish serves a double purpose, nourishing your body and your brain. See you next time, where we'll blend more than just ingredients. We'll blend ideas, insights, and a sprinkle of cognitive magic. Stay hungry, stay curious, and keep exploring the world, one bite at a time.